Now, one of the other points I wanted to go over was something that we just talked about, and I'm kind of just going to fly through this here. Oh, that's the bottom part. Was this study. Now, this was the one that yesterday wasn't here. Here's the actual main site. Here's refresh. It seems to be there now. I don't even understand. By the way, yesterday, it wasn't just the article. It was the whole website. I found that to be pretty weird. Who knows? Just a coincidence, apparently. But here, the point was, we went over this. I went over this on Brian's show today. But this is a study, and this is from 2008, talking about chimeric RNA sequences, which seems ridiculously relevant to right now. And of course, the point was that they list off SARS-CoV-1, SARS-CoV-2, and SARS-CoV-3. Okay, it's listing these off, and it's saying hepatitis C virus, and then it says severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, that's SARS, and then in parentheses, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so my point when I brought this up yesterday was first, whether or not this was legitimate, and it's clearly now I've confirmed a legitimate study, because here we have it on PubMed as well from 2008. But my question now for everybody is there something that makes this make sense? Because I'm beginning not to think so. Is there something out there that makes this justifiable? You know, that there's a certain formulaic term that they just kind of use when they combine different things, and that's why, blah, blah, blah. I'm not finding it. But if we're having examples of this listed in 2008, why then is it not being listed, as I said yesterday, on Google Trends? The first point, and this is actually as this without the dash. The one that we're literally staring at right here in this article, as well as is also right here in PubMed, as well as is also right here on a few other studies we're going to get to. So doesn't that seem a little weird that it's not listed anywhere on Google Trends until this started? It should be, because that's absolutely counter to what this is supposed to be, which means somebody is removing these things. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because it's clearly there. We can see it. But the point is that I went on, that somebody sent me this today, and I have Wayback Machined this as well. And here, this is the same study on PubMed. And you can see very clearly right here. For some reason, I couldn't find the date yesterday. 2008, right there. And it says it very clearly, SARS 1, 2, and 3. Interesting. Someone in the chat saying, found an Italian article that says CoV3 is a mutation of CoV2. Now, so let's just go forward on these. Now, here's what I found interesting. So here's one from July 2006. Oxford Academic, Clinical Chemistry. Preparation for a chimeric armor. It's weird how it's all about the same stuff. RNA as a versatile calibrator for multiple virus assays. Now, it says right here, SARS-CoV-2. This is from July 2006. Okay, so again, and you can read it right here. It says severe acute respiratory syndrome, in parentheses, SARS-CoV-1 and SARS-CoV-2 into the original armored RNA. What am I missing here, guys? I'm being very careful not to just dive into this and be like, proof that they knew, because that just continues to seem almost ridiculous that they would allow this to be out there. But again, the only thing that makes this confusing for me is why this exact term, the exact thing that you're staring at, is not showing up in a Google Trends search. You won't find it, but you will sure as hell find examples of it when you search for the term. That doesn't make sense. This is from 2004 to today. That's what you're looking at. Here's another example. Okay, this is the one from 2006, only with SARS-CoV-2. Here's one from 2008. It's also referencing the same thing right here that we just talked about, but it goes on to list it a few other times. Here's two. Oops, it's without the dash, which I think may be relevant. SARS-CoV-2, it listed 16 times in 2008. And down here, you can see the interesting points of where it says SARS-CoV-1, SARS-CoV-2, and 3, listing them off. And then here it's saying, SARS-CoV-1 plus SARS-CoV-2 plus HCV plus, this is really interesting stuff. Now, I'm not a scientist. My hope is that somebody who's very well versed on this stuff can dig into it and let me know whether or not this is the smoking gun, which somehow I just don't think it is, but I'm very interested in finding out. Or if there's some kind of an explanation here. 2008, another example of both 3 and 2. Okay, now here's an example from 2015. Is MERS another SARS? the facts behind the Middle East respiratory syndrome. So here they're talking about SARS-CoV, which was what they called SARS, right? Okay, so they're literally saying in this document, in this article, in 2003, multi-country outbreaks of severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS-CoV, left more than 8,000 people infected and had a death toll of more than 700. In 2012, the novel coronavirus, MERS-CoV, which is related to SARS-CoV-3, was first reported in Saudi Arabia. Now, my point in showing you this one to me almost seems to suggest that this is some kind of, like that this is almost a weird explanation that they use that terminology for some reason that I don't know about. Because how can they in 2015 be saying, even just skipping SARS-CoV-2? Right? I mean, you can tell that I'm full of questions with this. I'm not saying this is anything other than something that could potentially be more right now. But I'm really leaning in the direction that there's something here. Because, I mean, how can you explain the listings of these things going back to 2006, 8, 15, and them not showing up anywhere else? Or the fact that the next one I'll get to as soon as this is done freezing on me, that they have examples. So here's the Lancet, March 6, 2020. Okay, so this is during the pandemic, and here is the Lancet referring to SARS-CoV-3 as the future. It says, no effective approach to stop the zoonotic transmission has been established. SARS-related coronaviruses, such as SARS-CoV-2, they're referring to the virus that causes the disease of COVID-19. And then it's in parentheses, says, or even SARS-CoV-3 in the future. So how does that make sense when we're seeing them listed in 2008? Wouldn't the Lancet be aware this is something that's been referenced before? And I go back to this concept. Here is SARS-CoV-3 with the dash, mind you. That's important, CoV-3, because I'm thinking that may play a factor. Nothing listed, except when they started talking about it in January, February, and March. Here's SARS-CoV-3 without the dash. Absolutely nothing. Like, how do you explain that? It's not listed even, it's as if it's never even been written once on the internet. And yet, we're staring at it. Right here. Right there. And right here. SARS-CoV-3. So how in the world do you explain that? I would love an explanation. Here is SARS-CoV-2 with no dash, also showing you no examples before January, which is also ridiculous, seeing as how we have 4 examples of SARS-CoV-2 being discussed long before that, right? Here's one from 2006, where they list it multiple times. Hello, Google Trends. It must just be a glitch, right? Here's SARS-CoV-2 with the dash, and again, it also doesn't have it listed before. And there are also examples of that. The point is, guys, just let me check this really quickly, just in case somebody sent me something that might be relevant here. Let's see. Ah, dang it. I don't want to. Oh, well. Oh, well. Well, I'm not going to look at this right now because, so this is, I'm not going to accept this stuff. This is from April 5th, 2020, and it's talking about SARS-CoV-3. So you can actually see it right there. That's nonetheless. So, but that's the point is they are talking about SARS-CoV-3 as the future, right? That the next one, even though I do think it's also pretty ridiculous that they're acting like they know that it will be SARS or that it's going to be SARS-CoV-3 or that they'll even decide to call it that. Like it's clear that they're trying to put this in your mind. So what I'm asking everybody out there is for you guys to do some research on this. If you find something, send it my way, because I'm very interested to find out what the explanation is. I haven't seen anybody talk about this. I only just saw somebody share it, tagging us online, even though I already talked about it a couple days ago, and I just talked about it with Brian this morning. Hopefully it gets some reach. Our channel's being suppressed in every possible way right now. Sadly, even from some of the independent platforms that I'm not going to get into right now. It's very real, by the way. We just talked about it with some other people. It's very sad because even these people are being pressured to keep certain things down, which just even more so vindicates that we are being suppressed in every possible way. But I'll leave that where it is. I mean, I could just continue to rant on why it's interesting and weird forever. But to me, I just don't know how you can explain stuff like that. And it's interestingly necessary that needs to be justified, explained.